Tonight, new details on vaccine passports.
We want to make sure that everyone conforms to these rules.
With Ontario's vaccine passport system set to kick in next week, what you need to know about how they will work and where you will be needing them. Plus,
it's kind of what the city needed, something to kind of give us a root for.
the Jays have been on a roll, and so has its biggest star. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is now leading the league in home runs. We dive into the Vladdy frenzy. Can he lead the Jays to a playoff spot? And
Norm always danced to his own beat. You couldn't steal his material because it was Norm.
remembering comedy icon Norm Macdonald and what made him so one of a kind. The beloved Canadian comic has died at the age of 61 after a long battle with cancer. Good evening, I'm Kelda Yoon. Ontario's proof of vaccination requirement is set to take effect in just over a week. And today, the province released new details about how its vaccine passport system will work. But as our Queen's Park reporter Mike Crawley explains, there are still questions and concerns over how it will be enforced.
As of next Wednesday, if you want to eat indoors at a restaurant, you'll have to show proof that you're fully vaccinated against COVID-19, along with your ID. Same goes for bars, cinemas, or gyms, anywhere in Ontario. Provincial officials have now fine-tuned the rules and are preparing for what to do when someone breaks them.
There will be bylaw enforcement officers that will be available, that will be doing a lot of the monitoring there and making sure that businesses conform, as we're expecting individuals to conform to the requirements.
The people on the front lines of checking your vaccination status will be the staff.
As with anything, there's going to be startup complications, particularly with the very small businesses. So the greater clarity, the better.
Some of that clarity came today. The province says you won't have to prove you're vaccinated if you're on a patio and just need to go inside to pay or use a washroom. We also learned more about Ontario's rules for medical exemptions.
Very, very few exemptions that are listed, and the registrar has defined that you must put the exact reason for medical exemption.
Officials said they're aware that people may try to fake doctor's notes claiming they're exempt, but warned that doing so is an offense.
But who's verifying the legitimacy of such a note? Who's verifying the legitimacy of the exemptions that are being provided? It doesn't make any sense.
Ontario is not planning to have its digital proof of vaccination ready until late October, putting it 2 months behind Quebec. In the meantime, your proof is a scanned or paper copy of this. Since the government announced the vaccine passport plan earlier this month, demand for shots has increased. If that pace continues, 90% of eligible Ontarians will have received at least one dose by the end of October. Mike Crawley, CBC News, Toronto.
Nearly 24 schools in Toronto are under investigation tonight because of COVID-19 cases. Toronto Public Health is now reaching out to close contacts of confirmed cases within the schools. English and French schools in both the TDSB and Catholic boards are affected. Toronto Public Health says these cases aren't unexpected and that it is now conducting case and contact management. London police say one person was arrested but later released without charges following reports of a string of sexual assault allegations linked to Western University.
Our investigation will include examining any possible linkages between the various incidents.
Police say they've received 3 reports of sexual violence and 4 female victims have come forward. All of the allegations are from last week. They happened on different parts of campus. These allegations are separate from media reports of sexual violence that allegedly occurred at a residence over the weekend. Police say they are investigating that but haven't received any formal reports. Meantime, Western is mourning the death of first-year student Gabriel Neal. The 18-year-old died after an off-campus assault on Saturday. Neal was studying kinesiology and had aspirations of becoming a doctor. London police have charged 21-year-old Alian Ahmed with manslaughter in connection to his death. All right, let's bring in meteorologist Colette Kennedy now. Colette, lots going on weather-wise, including right here in the city, Toronto, now under a severe thunderstorm warning.
Yeah, it is, Kelda. And this is this line of storms that's kind of lined up along the cold front and moving in towards the city. So we do have a warning, meaning it's happening. It's kind of incoming for us at this moment. Lots of areas, you know it's happening because you're being affected by it. Seeing lots of evidence of some large hail, certainly earlier too with some of these storms, about ping-pong-sized hail. Also quite the lightning show that we're seeing with these two. And then, of course, we've got to worry about the winds, strong winds. Some of the gusts 100 kilometers an hour to 120, heavy downpours in here as well. So lots to be concerned about. Look at all those lightning strikes. It's all these blue things. There's so many of them, it's probably hard to even kind of recognize what that is. Let me remove those, get a better look. So this is all ahead of the cold front. Earlier, it was kind of coming in almost in batches, and now we've seen it get a little more organized here, kind of aligned along that frontal boundary as it's tracking in. So coming over the next 20 minutes to 30 minutes into the city here, probably even less than that. Had some very strong storms that moved through southwestern Ontario. This next little line here looked like it was kind of coming together, maybe just tagging towards Leamington or just south of towards Peely area there. But I think that it's starting to fall apart a little bit. Still, you're going to get some heavy downpours through that region. And here it comes. There's an image showing you what's going on, just kind of some of this passing Orangeville, but moving in Newmarket towards Markham. All of this is tracking to the southeast and coming in at about 65 to 70 kilometers an hour. So it is moving at a good clip. Now, what's fueling this? Well, obviously we've got this cooler air that's coming in. That frontal boundary is just the leading edge of it. So that's kind of providing, it's undercutting and providing extra lift. But we're seeing lift too because we had those temperatures spike up late in the day, but also the fact that it's pretty buoyant because we've got a lot of humidity here. That humidex value at this hour, 34. We will see these move through, passing after midnight, 17 after that, and tomorrow, a quieter day, Kelda. I'll have more on this coming up, 23 the high tomorrow.
Thanks so much, Colette. Well, sad news from the entertainment world today. Legendary Canadian comedian Norm Macdonald has died after a long private battle with cancer. As tributes continue to pour in, Eli Glasner has more on Macdonald's cutting-edge style that was all his own.
There's only two classifications in cliff diving there. There's a grand champion and then stuff on a rock.
Droll and deadpan, no one delivered punchlines like Norm Macdonald.
Very hard to make a comeback in that sport, I'll tell you that.
Macdonald first cut his teeth as a stand-up in Ottawa.
First of all, I couldn't get away from those damn blue eyes. He looked like Paul Newman in The Hustler.
Kenny Robinson said he stood out from the beginning.
Norm always danced to his own beat, that's why you couldn't steal his material because it was Norm. Yeah. And he had that delivery.
His big break came behind the Weekend Update desk on Saturday Night Live.
Well, this coming Monday is Oscar night, and 3 films, The English Patient, Secrets and Lies, and Shine, are locked in a tight race in the category Best Picture There's Not a Chance in Hell I Will Ever See.
Macdonald's jokes could be cruel and cutting, naughty or clean, but never predictable.
He didn't care whether you connected to the joke or not, or his POV. He just believed how funny it was.
Macdonald was also a favorite late-night guest who kept the hosts in stitches.
Well, a man grows.
Today, there was shock as fans learned Macdonald had been battling cancer for 9 years. His brother, former CBC News correspondent Neil Macdonald, said he didn't want it to affect the way he was perceived. But a few years ago, Norm Macdonald took aim at the concept of losing the battle to cancer.
I mean, if you die, the cancer also dies at exactly the same time. So that, to me, is not a loss, that's a draw. That's a, what I mean?
Today, his colleagues sang his praises. Steve Martin called him one of a kind, and his friend Jim Carrey called him an honest and courageous comedy genius. Norm Macdonald was 61. Eli Glasner, CBC News, Toronto.
Linda O'Leary has been found not guilty in connection with a boat crash 2 years ago that left 2 people dead. She's the wife of celebrity businessman Kevin O'Leary. Linda O'Leary was driving when there was a nighttime collision with another boat in Ontario's cottage country. 2 people aboard the other boat died from their injuries and 3 others were hurt. The judge said prosecutors failed to prove their case that O'Leary was operating the boat without due care or consideration. He also found that the other boat had its lights off when it was struck, a key issue during the trial. Well, the Toronto Blue Jays falling 2-0 to the Tampa Bay Rays tonight in the second game of their 3-game series. But the Jays are still red hot and on track for a playoff berth. The player that can lead them there, superstar Vladimir Guerrero Jr. As our Greg Ross tells us, the 22-year-old is now leading in home runs and capturing more hearts along the way.
MVP! 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 It's a chant heard around the Rogers Centre regularly these days, just about every time the most popular Blue Jay steps to the plate.
Big Daddy Vladdy for sure, no doubt.
He's found his footing. One of the reasons they love him is because he hits home runs. Through his translator, Tito LeBron, he told us he feels the love from fans.
Definitely, I hear everything. And it's very nice from the fans.
Hooks it down the left field line. Goal! Last night, Guerrero Jr. hit his major league leading 45th home run of the season. That's more than his Hall of Fame father, Vladimir Guerrero Sr., ever hit in a single season. His best was in 2000 when he hit 44. Guerrero Jr. says he got a call from his father after surpassing his career best.
Basically, he told me to just keep working hard. I mean, of course, he's very happy about it, about the accomplishment.
His teammates see that hard work up close every day. George Springer often takes batting practice with Guerrero Jr. He says watching him in the cage is almost as fun as watching him in games.
It's fun to watch him hit. It's also really, really deflating hitting in his group because, I mean, he's up there playing pepper with the banners, so, but it's all good.
As his numbers on the field continue to grow, so do his jersey sales. Staff at the Jays official team shop tell me that Guerrero Jr. jerseys outsell any other player by far. In fact, they say they have trouble keeping them in stock. This man bought 4 of them tonight for his wife and 3 daughters. First Blue Jay game ever. And of course, you had to get them a specific jersey. Vladdy all the way, right? He even agreed to buy his youngest daughter a Blue Jays teddy bear, although there were conditions. What's your bear's name?
Vladdy.
Why?
Because my dad told him.
Because I told you so. There's no doubt this city and country is falling in love with their MVP, and he says the feelings are mutual.
Hey, fine, I love you, Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
With the federal election now less than a week away, CBC Toronto is looking at key battlegrounds in the GTA. Like we mentioned yesterday, in numerous ridings, particularly in the 905, it's currently a toss-up between the Liberals and the Conservatives. One of them is Oakville. Farah Morelli with more now on how ridings like that one could play a key role in just who forms government.
The serene sights of Oakville's Bronte Harbor on a sunny day. But beneath the peaceful scenes, a fierce political battle is taking form. The latest polls show Oakville is a neck-and-neck race between the Liberals and the Conservatives, one of the many GTA ridings that are a toss-up.
The GTA is one of the key regions because we see swings in the GTA when there is a swing of government.
Pollsters say the leaders will be paying close attention to ridings like these in the final week.
These are suburban areas where voters are really not that tied to one party or the other. And because the Conservative coalition includes rural voters and suburban voters, and the Liberal coalition includes urban voters and suburban voters, it's whoever can win those suburban voters that usually gets to form a government.
Liberal leader Justin Trudeau even made a stop in Oakville on Sunday, campaigning for the Liberal incumbent, a familiar face to many.
Is a very passionate election.
Anita Anand stick-handled the acquisition of COVID-19 vaccines as Minister of Public Services and Procurement.
Our strategy from the very beginning has been to continue to connect with Oakville voters, and that's what I did as Member of Parliament for 2 years, in any case, to visit small businesses, to visit organizations that are doing charity for our community, to speak with Oakville residents at the doors.
We did reach out to Conservative candidate Carrie Colburn, but she told us she was unavailable. So what are the issues Oakville residents say they'll be voting on?
Most important is the environment because we are seeing more and more serious storms.
Climate change is really important to me. The issues are definitely healthcare and education.
What's going on with the lockdowns and the amount of businesses that have been closed. A lot of people have lost their livelihoods. The vaccine passports. It's a big issue with me. I'm not happy with any of it.
What happens on the campaign trail in the next 5 days could dictate just whether this riding stays Liberal red or flips Conservative blue. Farah Morelli, CBC News, Oakville.
The Toronto District School Board has a daunting task when it comes to fixing its schools or building new ones. It's currently facing a $3.7 billion repair backlog. And as our Angelina King tells us, the board says ways to chip away at that backlog are being blocked by provincial red tape.
From HVAC and boilers to windows and doors, the Toronto District School Board's list of repairs is 20,400 jobs long, totaling $3.7 billion.
If we had more money, we would do more.
But that's a challenge. The repair backlog keeps growing and is projected to hit close to $5 billion in the next 4 years, and provincial funding hardly makes a dent.
The province has definitely tied our hands.
Especially since there's a moratorium on closing schools, this trustee says, which means the board can't sell any properties after closing schools with low enrollment.
I think there would be more money available to chip away at the backlog if we were able to consolidate schools, frankly, because we're spending money on schools that even we know at that point really you should tear down the school and start over.
We would be building schools that are more energy efficient, that are barrier-free accessible, and importantly also meet today's sort of pedagogical approaches to learning.
But provincial red tape is also blocking the country's biggest school board from getting money for new schools. The TDSB can't access educational development charges, or EDCs, money developers pay to other boards to buy land for future schools. The reason? The TDSB has a surplus of space compared to the number of students.
We need to make sure that growth is paying for growth.
Nonprofit advocacy group Progress Toronto co-authored a report on EDCs, which says it's unfair other boards can access them when the TDSB cannot. It says the TDSB's surplus of space is dependent on where you live. Some schools are completely full in neighborhoods that desperately need a new school.
There are kids who live in buildings and can see McKee from their bedrooms, but they can't go to school in the neighborhood. Instead, they're being bussed out 5 kilometers.
Progress Toronto recommends the province allow boards to spend EDC money on repairs and building new schools. The Education Ministry didn't answer CBC's question about EDCs, but says it's committed to building new schools. The TDSB recently fought the province in court to collect EDCs, but lost. It says it is considering appealing. It also says if things change, that could untap $500 million in the next 15 years. Angelina King, CBC News, Toronto.
John Tory wants Torontonians to show some love to the city as it continues its rebound from COVID-19.
We have a task to perform, which is to help get the spirit of business back, get that spirit of community back that is hopefully not at the expense of helping other people.
The Show Love TO program was initially announced last year, but put on hold so that the city could focus on its vaccination strategy. It aims to help people remember what they love about the city and support local businesses. The program kicks off with a 2-week Dine Together restaurant promotion. Tory says the Show Love hearts will be popping up across the city. And this is a live shot of the city, which is currently under a severe thunderstorm warning, along with numerous other parts of southern Ontario. All right, let's go back to Colette now, who has been tracking everything for us. And Colette, what can we expect as we head into the overnight hours?
Yeah, a lot coming our way into the city there, kind of the calm before the storm, but there's just minutes left before we see that coming in. It's been quite the light show, too, with all the lightning strikes associated. Some of the ingredients here for these storms, well, the heat. I know it was like we were in the low 20s through much of the day, but then it kind of kicked in right towards the late afternoon. The humidity kicked in, too, as our winds turned towards the southwest. So we're still seeing that heat. And by the way, the humidex, you can add almost 10 to Toronto. It's right around 34 in terms of how it feels. And seeing that humidity through the Niagara region where things are cooling down, and it's starting to calm down there around the shores of Lake Huron, around Georgian Bay and through the Bruce Peninsula. So the watch is still in play there, but where we have the warnings, meaning we have the strongest cells that are moving through now, just really you can see those lined up. They've been extended into the Niagara area, so St. Catharines, Welland, you're all included in this now. There's all those lightning strikes. We removed those so you can get a better idea at the cells. And when you see some of these pinks and reds in here. Really heavy downpours coming in, but there's also been small hail associated with these storms and certainly some damaging winds, and there does seem to be at least some wind damage back towards the west as these were moving through parts of Ontario. So now they're coming into the city, and if you can be inside, you definitely want to be. Again, it's a warning, it's not a watch, so these storms are very, very strong in nature. So that's what's right on the doorstep here, and we're seeing a little bit of improvement back into southwestern Ontario, still towards Point Pelee, a little bit of activity there, but you're getting improvement in Windsor, and it's going to take another hour or a couple of hours really for the Niagara region for this to clear through. So even at 1 a.m. you're still dealing with it there. Then we got that moving through, just a few light showers kind of left behind, but cloud cover in place. That will begin to clear away. And then behind this, as we get into this new air mass, we'll get into some sunshine, or at least some sun mixed with cloud into the afternoon, and some cooler, although still a little humid, but more comfortable for tomorrow afternoon into the GTA. Much quieter too, right? Overnight tonight, a look at those temperatures and where they're falling to. And then tomorrow, those numbers pretty close to seasonal, just a tiny bit above. They'll be seasonal on Thursday, and looking like there is a chance Saturday held up for some activity, but that should be a little less than it is tonight, that's for sure.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks so much, Colette.
You're welcome.
Some bragging rights and a new accolade for Metrolinx. Its pedestrian bridge in Pickering is being recognized by Guinness World Records. Now, according to Guinness, the city of Pickering has the world's longest enclosed pedestrian bridge. It runs 250 meters atop Highway 401, spanning 14 lanes of traffic. The bridge connects Metrolinx's Pickering Station to Durham College and Centennial College's joint campus and Pickering Town Centre. While this is likely the biggest recognition the bridge has received, it isn't the first. It also won the City of Pickering's Urban Design Award back in 2019 after construction finished the year before. And that is our show for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Dwight Drummond has your next local newscast tomorrow at 6. And I will see you back here tomorrow night at 11. Have a great night, everyone.